Hi everyone, welcome to our web chat on our Center for Integrated Learning here at Earlham College. So first we're going to have our panelists introduce themselves, and then we will start off with some questions. So Mark, would you like to start?
Yes, my name is Mark Gaines. I'm a 1994 graduate. I'm also the Director of Career Education here at Earlham and an Assistant Director for the Center for Integrated Learning.
I'm Sydney. I'm a senior biochemistry major from New Carlisle, Indiana.
And I'm Jen Banning. I'm an Assistant Director of the Center for Integrated Learning, and I'm also a career advisor to students in the humanities and the visual and performing arts.
So before we get started with specific questions, what is the Center for Integrated Learning?
I'll take that one. So the Center for Integrated Learning here at Earlham is all about taking the education you have and taking it outside the classroom. Currently, we kind of use as our motto, our tagline, classroom without walls. So we're about three things primarily: connecting your classroom experience or your theory with practical experience. So what you learn in the classroom, how does that relate to the world? So is that done through internships or externships? We're also about the classroom being connected to the community. So that's all around how do we engage our local community and our international community with volunteering and trips abroad. And then the last one is classroom to career. So how do we make sure that after you've come here and you've gotten all the great information and did all the learning and we're challenged, that you now can find out where your place is in the world? Is that graduate school? Is that a career? What does that look like? What does that 10-year mindset that we constantly talk about look like? What will you be doing here and after you leave Earlham?
So hopefully that can help you guide some of your questions. You know, this web chat is focusing on those connections between your classroom and other aspects of your life. So another question that I had was, what do you see as the value of a liberal arts education in today's job market?
Well, I'll start, and then if you guys have anything you want to jump in. The value of a liberal arts education is absolutely huge in today's economy, today's job market, in the world. You know, today's college graduates are getting ready and they're preparing themselves for jobs that don't even exist yet. We don't even know what the world will necessarily look like when you graduate from college. So really, the best education that you can have is an education that kind of broadens your horizons, that helps you learn how to think and learn how to, you know, explore your options, and really just learn how to learn.
I have like a personal example because I'm a senior and I chose Earlham for the Great Science program, so I knew I wanted to study science. However, when I came in as a freshman, I was very medical school bound. That was my focus. That was what I wanted to do. And then my junior year came around and I decided not to go to medical school. And luckily, I have an Earlham degree, or I'm going to have an Earlham degree, and so I'm a biochemistry major, not a pre-med major. And so along with my normal science classes in my major and all the other classes in my liberal arts education, I was able to easily kind of switch my focus to applying to different grad schools that happened to be in like a counseling type setting. So I'm still using my science, but I was able to kind of transfer into the counseling field because of my liberal arts degree. Whereas at another school, if I had focused strictly on pre-med, I would have kind of been locked into that.
So Victoria from Illinois has asked, how do advisors at Earlham help students identify and enhance career goals over the course of 4 years? And this also ties into what Mark mentioned, our 10-year mindset. So what do advisors do for students when trying to, you know, shape their career goals?
Well, since I'm a career advisor, I'll start with that one. We have 3 career advisors in the Center for Integrated Learning, and each one of us focuses on a particular division. I focus on the humanities and the visual and performing arts. We also have a career advisor who focuses on the natural sciences and one who focuses on the social sciences. But even if you don't know what your major is when you come to Earlham, you have a career advisor in the CIL that you can come see at any time, set up an appointment, and we're always happy to talk with students. We have, you know, career discernment assessments that we can take you through. We have, you know, just a plethora of resources that we have on hand for that. You also have your academic advisors from the moment you step on campus that you can talk to. So there's plenty of advising going on.
We also had sort of a question about, when does advising begin? So when does your career or graduate school advising begin?
It can start on day one if you want it to. You can come to the CIL or go online. You can make an appointment online now as well and set up an appointment with your career advisor or even just email one of us. We are always happy to communicate with students through email as well. And, we can start your career advising, right away.
What types of internships or volunteer placements are there available in Richmond?
Well, I was lucky enough to have 2 internships through the Center for Integrated Learning. My first internship was after my sophomore year. It was a chemistry-based internship at the Indianapolis Museum of Art. So I was doing science in an art museum, which was really cool, and a lot of people don't know about that. And then my second one was after my junior year, and it was a biology-related internship at Riley Children's Hospital at the Herman B. Wells Center, doing stem cell research. And so that was really awesome for me as well. And so both of those were set up through the Center for Integrated Learning. And then I volunteered at Reed Hospital here in town, at the Wayne County Health Clinic here in town, and I'm currently volunteering for Premier Hospice here at the local nursing home.
One of the things we really work on doing is having strong relationships with our community partners in Richmond, and then listening to the students to find out what type of opportunities that they want. So we have everything, like she said, from science in the art museum setting to museum curating to working with boys and girls at the Boys and Girls Club to Girls Inc. To working at ad agencies and radio stations. So we pretty much run the gamut, and those are always constantly changing as the needs of the students change.
Also, for many of our students who are not from right around Richmond, Indiana, what are the opportunities available that the CIL may be able to help students get internships or volunteering outside of Indiana?
Yeah, we actually just received a grant that is helping us fund 10 internships in East Asia. So everywhere from Thailand to Singapore, Japan. We have several funded internships that are in Asia now. We also have several opportunities in Washington, D.C. We have one in Martinique. We're always developing new partnerships with organizations all around the country and around the world. We even have one in Alaska right now. So, there's really anywhere you want to go, we can hopefully work with you and help you find an opportunity. And we're always kind of expanding our partnerships.
Yeah, currently only probably about 20%, 25% of our internships that we have now are based in Indiana. We go, like you said, everywhere from Alaska to China. So we're taking our students not only domestically but globally.
Great. Zyna, I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, from Maryland, has asked a few questions about internships in the arts, specifically film. So maybe, Jen, do you have any examples of internships that are available in the arts?
Internships in the arts. Let's see. We have several in museums, as Mark mentioned earlier. Those are probably our biggest ones right now. But, we are always expanding. We have a partnership with the Richmond Art Museum here in town. That's huge. That is a great museum that's local. We also have internships at the Indianapolis Museum of Art, which Sydney had a science internship there, but we also have another internship available there as well that's not science-based. So we have things like that in art museums. And so those are probably some of our biggest art ones right now. But we also are always happy to help students find internships that are not necessarily created through our office. There are so many internships out there beyond just the ones that are kind of funded through the CIL. And we can always help students find those, apply for those, that kind of thing.
One of the things that we're really looking at is, as a college community, we've made a huge investment in our new arts building. And with that, we've had more and more students enroll that are interested in arts. And as we meet with those students, we continue to work to craft things that they're looking for. So we're constantly in talk with the IRT, the Indianapolis, or Indiana Repertory Theater. We've talked with the New York Arts Program. So the number of arts-related internships that we have will continue to grow. We're also actively developing an intern assistance fund that will allow us to, in the future, to let you go out and find internships at theaters and film schools, place that you may want to be, and then we'll look at those proposals and fund those ideas.
Yeah, the New York Arts Program is actually a great one to bring up. That is an off-campus study program where you actually go to New York as a part of the program. You're studying there in New York, but you're also doing an internship in the arts. And that's been really huge for students getting a leg up in art fields. So.
If you have other questions about studying art at Earlham, we have a visual and performing arts web chat on Wednesday, March 11th at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have more questions specifically about studying the arts, that would be a great web chat for you also to log on to. Nyesha from North Carolina has a question about what job opportunities are available full or part-time. And Sydney here works a lot of jobs on campus, so maybe she can help answer that question.
I do. There's lots of jobs for students to have on campus. So depending on what your interest, where it lies, you can find a job. I work here in the admissions office. I'm a tour guide and a host. So I host high school girls that come and spend the night, and I also give tours to students who come to campus. I am also a chemistry tutor, so I get paid for that as well. So tutoring among any of our academics or TAing any classes, those are all jobs that you could have. And then I also teach a fitness course in our wellness center, and I get paid for that as well. So I kind of work 3 different jobs, which is not normal, but it happened. But we have lots of other jobs in all of our libraries, all of our academic departments on campus. A couple of my friends work in the CIL. They hire students as well. So you'll be able to find a job with whatever it is that you're interested in.
Victoria just said that she noticed that Earlham recently met with the city of Richmond and we're learning about collaborative relationships and common goals. Can you share what you learned when meeting with the city of Richmond?
Yeah, this was actually an event that was sponsored through the CIL, the Center for Integrated Learning. Jana Schroeder, she's the Director of Community Engagement in the CIL, and she put together this really great event during which faculty members from the Earlham campus got to, we met with a lot of community members downtown. It was just a really fun social event. There wasn't a lot of structure because really the whole point of it was just for faculty members to meet members of the community, people who run things like the Boys and Girls Club or Girls Inc., Cope Environmental Center, which is here in town. And so they really just kind of got the conversation started and kind of started brainstorming, you know, what are some really cool projects that maybe these kinds of groups need help with that our students could, you know, bring their skills and their knowledge and, you know, get out into the community and do some really cool class projects.
So just really looking to leverage those relationships. But the CIL has worked very closely with the city of Richmond. We've constantly had interns either working in the mayor's office or on mayoral campaigns. We've had students work with the city government, the city planning offices. So Earlham students are quite integrated into the city of Richmond. And the CIL, Center for Integrated Learning, facilitates those relationships.
Maximilian asks, what is the earliest time that you can start doing research?
That's a good question. We have lots of research opportunities on campus as well. Even in some of your science labs, you'll be assigned research projects, and they're not like your high school research projects where it's like mix A and B and you'll get C. You actually have to figure out how to do it by yourself. So you kind of get your base level research skills there. And then for on-campus research with professors, they will sometimes take students right after their freshman year. But most generally, from my experience with myself and with my friends, I got my first internship after my sophomore year, and I think the majority of students will wait until at least after their sophomore year, usually after their junior year, to apply because you've gotten more of your science classes under your belt and you're a little bit more useful.
Are there research opportunities outside of the sciences?
I would say yes. You know, there's always ways for you to put your knowledge to work in a variety of settings. That, you know, our internships that you can do through the CIL, obviously a lot of those internships are going to require a lot of research and the kind of analytical skills that you get through a liberal arts education at Earlham. So
One of my friends is a history major, religion minor, and he is currently doing an internship on campus with some of the librarians in Lilly Library. And it's a research-based internship in which they're going through a lot of our archives. And I don't remember the topic of their research, but yeah, he's doing research in the library through the archives. So,
what would you do with a student who has a pretty good idea of what their career is going to be?
So one of the things that we're really starting to talk about in the CIL is 51%. There's a program that we send our graduates to, our rising seniors, called CORU. And CORU really pushes on this concept of 51%. So what is something you feel strongly about? What's a direction that you feel? And let's kind of blow that out. So you don't have to have it worked out. It doesn't have to be 100%. Many times students come and they say, I want to go to medical school, and that's kind of 100% goal, and they've worked that out. But a lot of times students will come and say, I'm kind of feeling like I'm pulling toward the medical field. So we'll bring them in, they'll meet with an advisor, and we'll slowly start to kind of unpeel that and say, okay, what are the things about the medical field that you like? What types of medicine? And continuously giving them resources to build up on that so we can start heading them in a 51% direction so they can start to explore that. And then we take that further with linking them with internships to then kind of determine and test, was that something I was really interested in, or was it something that I'm completely uninterested in, so we then shift for there. So the Center for Integrated Learning, we really think that this getting you outside the classroom and testing your theory and having that strong liberal arts base where you're thinking about solving problems go hand in hand with kind of understanding and discerning where you want to be and where you see your role in this world.
Yeah, all students are required to have an immersion experience before they graduate, and an immersion experience can be any number of things. It can be an internship, it can be, you know, a research opportunity here on campus. You know, there are a wide variety of things that fall into the category of immersion experience, but kind of one of the big goals behind that is for you to kind of get that hands-on experience and decide, is this something I want to do or is it not? You know, a lot of students go on internships and they realize this is not at all what I thought it was going to be. You know, I definitely don't want to do this for a career, and that's great. That is just as important as, you know, going into something and being like, yes, this is it.
So beyond this sort of big philosophical type of assistance, does the CIL also help students do things like write a cover letter and a resume?
Oh yeah, that's my job. Yeah, your career advisor definitely helps with cover letters, resumes, grad school applications, fellowship applications. A lot of our students apply for post-baccalaureate fellowships, which, you know, might help them study abroad for a year, or, you know, go on to graduate school or start a business even. So all those kinds of things that you're looking to do both while you're here and then your first step out into the world, your career advisor is there to kind of help you, you know, create good documents that are going to help you, you know, hopefully get those opportunities. So
I would like to talk a little bit more about what Mark mentioned with CORU, and, you know, are there any other initiatives that the CIL has sort of started recently, or things that are cool to highlight?
So, yes, there's several, but I'll push out a little bit more on CORU. CORU is an organization that's basically a startup. They have some pretty cool investors from Silicon Valley. They also have Nas, who's a hip-hop artist, is one of their investors. But they're all about taking liberal arts students. We're one of 13 schools that are a part of CORU, and our liberal arts students participate in CORU. We partner them with high-growth companies like Amazon and Zulily and some of the other fast-growing companies right now, Airbnb, and they actually go and work with these companies to solve a problem. Most recently, we had a student go to Boston, and they worked with Care.com. They went and actually met with the executives of Care.com. They gave them a challenge. The challenge was acquiring new participants to the site at a cost per acquisition of X. They go back, they work on this with mentors, very high-level entrepreneur mentors that have started businesses, grown companies. They go back and present to the company. They come back, they present one final time, and then they interview. So the students that get into this program end up placed in high-growth companies, primarily in strong silicon areas like, strong tech areas like Boston, San Francisco, Seattle, and the placement rate is about 95%. So Koru is one that we're very excited about because we were the 13th partner. We recently joined Koru. But we're continuing to find opportunities like the Friedman Foundation grant that we just received that Jen talked about earlier that sets us up to send students to do various things, from work on marketing campaigns with a company called World Kitchen that here we may know better as Pyrex, in Asia on designs of new products, to working with indigenous groups in China. So pretty exciting things that we have going on now.
Yeah, we also have integrated programs in the CIL. Right now we have 3 integrated programs, but we're looking for that to possibly grow. We have an integrated program in business and entrepreneurship, one in sustainability, and one in health sciences. And what those programs are, they're kind of career pathways that help you get the experience you need in order to, go into a career in that particular field. You don't have to be in a major related to that field to participate in that pathway. So if you are interested in, becoming an entrepreneur, but you're an art major, you can definitely, participate in the business and entrepreneurship IP or integrated program. Go to the events, network with alums, do all these really cool things through the integrated program, and then graduate with, this distinction of, having done all these things, but being an art major, and, being able to couple 2 things like that can be really powerful after you graduate. So,
what kind of connections does Earlham have with their alumni network, especially in terms of getting a job?
Yeah, well, we actually have an event coming up. We have 2 major events that we do every year. The one coming up this spring is Alumni Career Coaching. And with that event, we have a lot of alums come back. Our alumni love giving back to students. They love talking to students, giving them advice, helping them out any way they can. So with Alumni Career Coaching, alumni come to campus. This one is mostly focused on sophomores and juniors. And they actually do one-on-one interviews with students. So you can kind of practice interviewing with someone who's, a little more sympathetic because they were in that seat at one point in time as an Earlham student. And you can also interview them by doing an informational interview where you kind of learn more about their career path, how they got where they are, what was their first step after they left Earlham. So that's kind of a fun event that students really get a lot out of. And in the fall, we do something a little bit different, but again, when a lot of our alumni are back on campus around homecoming. So
there are 2 other initiatives that we're really pushing on. When a person comes in and they meet with Jen is actually able to go into a database that we have here and find alums that are from that area that you may be interested in moving to, or the career area that you may be interested in going into. We're also really pushing out now on our alumni's participation with LinkedIn, and one of the things you may have noticed recently on our career education page is a widget for LinkedIn that shows where our alumni live, where they work, and we're able to link our students up with those students through LinkedIn as well. And then we have a brand new initiative that we're about to kick off in about 3 weeks. This is the first time publicly that it's been out there. We're currently talking to our alumni now about a new initiative that we're currently calling 12 Hungry Quakers, where we take 9 students, we take them to a fancy restaurant. We'll start off in Indianapolis and we'll meet with alumni around specific areas. So the first one will probably be around law, where we take 9 students, put them with someone who's working in the law field. We'll meet in Indianapolis at a restaurant like an Ocean Air and really have an intimate conversation around what it takes to get into the legal field from Earlham. So we're pretty excited about our work with alumni, and it's only getting stronger.
I wanted to go back to the immersion experience requirement, and what does that mean in terms of the benefit that a student will get from having that requirement? And by requirement, it really is that you get to do that. But Sydney, what was your immersion experience requirement?
So mine would have been both of the internships that I did. You only need 1, but I was very lucky to get 2. And so the first one was the chemistry internship in the art museum, and it was really neat because it was an area of chemistry that I didn't really know existed. And even though that didn't really sway me to go into the art field, it did make me think about it twice. And then when I did my one this past summer, which was at the Herman B. Wells Center doing stem cell research, again, I really loved it. I love doing things hands-on, so a lab setting's nice. But I did learn that I cannot be at a lab bench from 9 to 5 every day by myself because it drives me crazy. I'm very much a people person, and in a lab I had like limited people contact. And so I learned that going on to grad school to, get a PhD in research was not for me, which is good to know because that's a really, long commitment for me to find out later in life. So my immersion experience helped me figure that out.
Are there other requirements that are a little unique to Earlham that maybe help students when they're trying to figure out? There's a research requirement as well, which helps students get that liberal arts background. Could you speak on that?
Not just the research specifically, but the immersion, just going back to the immersion experience, one of the things that one of the reasons that Earlham implemented the immersion experience is just to have the type of experiences that you had. So a student really invests a lot in learning here at Earlham. Earlham attracts a certain type of student who's very curious, that they don't want rote information. They want to actively participate in their education, and that's just the kind of air you get when you're on this campus. So now we're putting tools around that type of student to say, this is what I think I want to do. This is what I came to school to do. I want to become a doctor, and so I push out on that and realize that that may not be the direction I want to go. I want to be a researcher. I want to get a PhD. You get a chance to actually do real-world research, not classroom research. So you're doing stem cell research, at a hospital, at a world-renowned hospital in Indianapolis, and then you decide that the bench hours aren't something I want to do. These are things that haven't always been at Earlham. Being a graduate from '94, we kind of figured it out after we left, where now we're really trying to implement that for the student to say, let us give you all of the support to say, let's push out on that now. So when you leave in a more firm direction to kind of understand where you really want to be.
So we're getting sort of near the end of the questions that we have already. For those of you watching at home, if you have any last minute questions, please write them in now. And do you guys have anything else that you think is important to talk about in terms of the Center for Integrated Learning or anything else that we've discussed so far?
Well, one of the things that we've really have done more and more studying on in the Center for Integrated Learning, and kind of the reason why it was formed 2 years ago, was that we found that employers are looking more for what a student has to offer, the type of experience. The major is less important, and that's something that at Earlham we've always kind of thought we're more about working with you to develop how to think and how to problem solve, knowing that you're already a smart person, enhancing that, and then putting you in the best situation. So employers are now giving us that feedback back that they're less concerned with what your major is, but what experience set you come with. So we're really helping you try to build up those experiences. So as you go out into the world, or as you go to the medical schools or the law schools, they want to know what it is that you're actually capable of doing and what you've invested your time in. So we're really focused on giving you those type of experiences. So that's one of the things that makes the CIL unique, and that the Earlham experience unique right now.
Yeah, and I think that's important because when you talk to any students on campus, regardless of what our internships are in and regardless of what our majors are in, if you look at our work study jobs, if you look at our volunteer opportunities, if you look at any of the extracurriculars that we're a part of, we gain so much experience outside of the academic and internship areas of our life. So I'm getting, counseling background with my hospice work. I'm getting public speaking abilities from my tour guiding. I'm getting fitness coaching and instructing from teaching my fitness class. I'm also the convener of the pre-health club on campus, so I'm getting organizational skills and juggling, basically, skills. And if you talk to any Earlham students, they'll say the same thing.
You can't see my face, but I can tell you that I decided to go into admissions not because that's what I thought I was going to do. It's through working around campus at a liberal arts college that you can learn a lot about other areas. So we do have some questions that came in there on that last push. One of these students would like to learn more about the interdisciplinary programs, and what can you say a little bit more about some of the interdisciplinary majors that Earlham offers?
So I almost feel bad that I hadn't mentioned it, so I'm glad you brought it up. Our interdisciplinary programs here are very unique. We have three. We have one in sustainability, have one in health sciences, and we have one in business and entrepreneurship. And they're exactly what they said. They're all about integrating disciplines. So the arts was a perfect example. We have students here that are very into the arts. Some are metals makers, but they want to understand not only how do I have a career in the arts, but how do I build a business around the arts. So you can continue to be an art major, and we'll couple that with classes in business management, such as marketing. We'll couple that in experiences such as the business plan competition to really kind of build out your education and make it more well-rounded. We do the same thing in sustainability and the health sciences. So as I study African American studies at Earlham College, I may want to understand how health impacts the African American community. So now I'll start to take more of the science-related classes. I'll get more involved in things like the pre-health club so that I can really kind of make that a more round study of African Americans versus one that's maybe more slanted towards culture. So our interdisciplinary programs are something here that really kind of sets us apart and lets you continue, like we said, to push out on experiencing and exposing yourself to as much of the things that excite you as possible.
Maximilian asked about, could you elaborate a little more on the, job fairs and other events that help students prepare for, interviews and things like that, other resources that are available for students?
Yeah, Mark just took some students the other day to a career fair in Indianapolis. We also have another career fair coming up that we're going to take students to. It's a nonprofit expo. That one was actually huge last year. Just in terms of the impact of the students who went. We had several students get internships out of that career fair with nonprofits in Indianapolis. We also have a partnership with the other colleges here in Richmond. There are actually 4 colleges located in Richmond, Indiana, and we do a joint career fair with those other colleges every spring, and kind of bring in local businesses for students to kind of get to know, what's available in the area. So that's a big one. We took students to the Idealist Grad School Fair last fall. That's a graduate school fair focused on graduate school programs that are in things like nonprofit management or social justice, environmental policy, things like that. But we also have a lot of events that we do on campus. We have Internship Fest in the fall. That's always fun. That's where all of our interns that do internships facilitated through the CIL get together. They do poster presentations, and a lot of times some of their site supervisors will come to campus and present the posters with them. So, Sydney participated in that and can talk more about it, but that's a great opportunity for other students to kind of learn, what are these internships, what's available, what was the intern's experience last summer, is this something I would be interested in or not, would it be helpful? So
some other things they do for us students in the Center for Integrated Learning, they'll set up mock interviews if you want to practice your interview skills with your advisor. And then they hold other professional workshops to go over maybe how you should dress for an interview or what is appropriate to ask in an interview and things like that. So there's lots of professional workshops, and these are all free for Earlham students to attend.
Madison asked, what are the different support systems for students with learning disabilities at Earlham?
Yeah, that would actually be through the Academic Enrichment Center here on campus. They have a disability services department in there. It's in the library, and they're, they can help with whatever you need in terms of support there. There's also a writing center located in the library, so if you ever need help, with building your writing skills, that's a great support system that we have on campus as well. And I'm always encouraging students to go to the Writing Center.
And there's students like myself who are tutors, and we are in both libraries, the science library and the regular library, assigned certain times in the evening during the week to hold group tutoring sessions. And then students who might need extra tutoring can seek out one-on-one tutoring. Last week I was just assigned to a student, and so outside of my normal tutoring hours, I'm meeting with this one student one-on-one 2 extra hours a week to kind of help bring them back up into where they need to be in the class. And then we also have the librarians who help you if you maybe don't understand how to use all of the library resources, whether it's like our online ebooks or online databases or the book collections. And so there's lots of resources for students to use.
And that's something you can set up an appointment with the Academic Enrichment Center as soon as you get to Earlham and already start working through how you're going to make this experience as good for you as it can be. All right, so we have one final poll question for you all. So the question's going to come up here, and we want to know what degree your career preparation is important for your college choice. If you guys can answer that poll, drum roll, please. I'll also take this time to remind you about the other web chats that are happening this week. Tomorrow evening, also at 7 p.m., we will be talking about our International Programs Office. So anyone who's interested in off-campus study, both abroad and within the U.S., that'll be a good chance for you to learn more about that. And then on Tuesday, also at 7 p.m., we will be talking about student life on campus. So what does it mean to actually go to Earlham? We'll have a couple of students and also someone from our student life office to answer questions about transitioning to college and also what it's like to be a student at Earlham. And the results from our poll are that 50% of you say that career preparation is extremely important, followed by 33% say it's important, and 17% say it's only somewhat important. And good that nobody said it's not important at all. You guys are doing your job. So if you could please fill out the survey now that the chat is over. If you have any further questions, feel free to email admissions@earlham.edu, and we would be happy to help you with any more questions you may have. But for our panelists, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to close with? Great. So please fill out that closing survey as you leave the web chat, and we hope to see you later this week. In a couple weeks, we'll also have a series of academic web chats, but you'll be getting information from that in your email. Thank you very much for logging in, and have a great evening.